Well, we're moving on to parenting, which is something both of us are going to have to do at some point in our lives. So we are talking about positive parenting. Murshidah, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You're a positive parent yourself.
Yes, very much
well, we all strive to be positive parents, and that example of a positive parenting was, you can see the result with a 12-year-old, performing like that confidently in front of people. Yeah, and that's a result of positive parenting.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So take us through it.
Yeah.
Okay, when I talk about positive parenting, right, what kind of feeling do you get? Do you get a feeling of positivity or negativity? Like sometimes when I say parents, people have this, they say, oh, my hair is starting to stand on end because they start to think of their parents, so that is a negative feeling, right? Yeah. So when you think of parents, and some people, when you say the word parents, they evoke a certain kind of feeling of love, of happiness, of security. Now that is a result of positive parenting, right? Now, research has shown that from the ages of 0 to 6 years old, this is the most crucial part of parenting, because it develops the person into whether the person becomes a confident person or a not so confident person, and also the values of the person is as a result of the what happened between 0 to 6 years old. And in Islam, there's a hadith that said that from 0 to 7 years old, the first 7 years of your child's life, you play with them, play with them, make them feel like secure, make them feel happy around you, right? 0, this is a crucial age. Then the next 7 years, 7 to 14, this is where you teach them manners. You have to show them by example what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is not good. You instill values at this age, and from 14 to 21, the next 7 years.
Oh, the rebellious stage, okay.
Yes, you be their friend. Right? And this is the time when a lot of parents are not the child's friend, because you tell them what to do, but they're at the stage of growing up. Right? They're at the stage of being who they are, trying to discover who they are. But if the second part of the 7 to 14 years old, we have already instilled the right education, the right values to them, right? From the age of 14 to 21, this is the time when you be their friend, you advise them and show by example the kind of person that you would like them to be. And I love this quote by this former kindergarten teacher. She said, children are born ready to learn. During the preschool years, as the child's brain is twice as active as an adult's, with trillions of connections between brain cells being made, and it is the child's relationships and experiences during the early years that greatly influence how the brain develops. So you can see sometimes, when there's a negative parenting, or they have experienced some kind of negativity during the early years of their lives, it will affect the person's self-esteem, it will affect the way how they view life, their relationships with people, and whether they end up being confident, or whether they have they have anger issues that start as young as that age.
Okay, I've got a quote. Somebody gonna get hurt real bad. That's by Russell Peters. Good old Russell Peters with that quote. And that basically embodies how I was brought up.
Yeah, it's like smack on the head. So because like we mentioned earlier, how our parents were brought up is how they were instilled fear. They were really scared to make their parents angry.
It worked for us.
Well, I wasn't instilled fear.
Oh, you wasn't? I was, yes.
I'm a happy-go-lucky guy.
We had that element in there growing up. And if it wasn't our parents, it was our teachers in school with the flying dusters and chalks.
Yes.
So,
that one I can...
So there you go. See, so that's basically the trend of, I don't know, 10 years ago?
Which, a lot of times research has shown now that it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
When you hit a child, you actually not only devalue the child, you also devalue yourself as a parent. You devalue yourself as a parent because it reflects your your lack of self-esteem as well, and using physical affliction on others to show that you want things done your way. And when the child grows up, this is what they will do in their future as well. They will start to bully people who are seen as maybe a lower level than them. What if they end up in jobs and they end up as the boss of the company? And that's how they will instill that kind of fear tactics to their staff. That's how they will bully people as well. And this is something that research has also shown that children who were physically afflicted, physically, you know, to as a form of discipline, right? They actually grow up and they start to bully other kids as well, who are younger or smaller than them.
So the term "spare the rod, spoil the child" that doesn't really apply.
No, I wouldn't advise that. That would be really at the last resort, which is almost minuscule. You know, there's always a way to actually empower the child. Better than punishment. I'm pro empowerment. I'm not pro punishment.
Right.
You know, there's also research that's shown in the early years of children's development, where two group of children, 14 months old, I think, 14 months old, and they're playing with things, right? And every time they want to touch something, they were smacked on the hand, right? And another group of kids, they were playing also with the same things, and then they were not smacked. They were like advised, oh, this is dangerous, don't touch it, and they remove it from the kids, right? So what happened was, as the children developed, they realized that the kids who were smacked, they lack in their physical development in terms of creativity, in terms of confidence, and in terms of learning through feeling. You know, because kids also learn through feelings. So we do not realize that, you know, we think, oh, okay, we want them to listen to us, so smack. There you go. Oh, this is for their safety, so smack, right? But what happens, it has a deeper consequences than that. So if, let's say, a child is around a dangerous object, just remove the object. Don't smack the child, right? Or don't put it there in the first place. And there's a wonderful saying that I love to say, I love to quote, children do not listen to what you have to say, they listen, they will follow what you do.
Follow what you do.
Yeah, on the screen here, it looks like, you know, there's two sides of the story here. Two different stories. Power of parents, or more specifically, the power of positive parenting. So yes, positivity and negativity. When it comes to in cases where the child has witnessed where the father is very abusive, or even their parents go through divorce, how badly can it affect the child growing up?
It can affect the child pretty negatively, especially if the child is not. They view a lot of negativity around their house, around the family environment, and that will instill a lack of self-confidence. You know, and this is a wonderful quote by Buckminster Fuller that says, "All children are actually born geniuses, but we spend the first 6 years of their lives de-geniusing them." You know,
de-geniusing them.
Yeah, de-geniusing them. It's a mouthful for me. But this is what sometimes unconsciously, this is what we do. And when parents argue, like what you were saying, Zamil, argue in front of their kids, you know, this is actually affecting the children more than what the parents think. Sometimes the parents say, this has got nothing to do, but nothing to do with you, but it has everything to do with the child. Sometimes the child feels that, you know, the reason why their parents are fighting is because of them, and it's an unconscious thing. And when it is an unconscious thing and it grows within the child, that is when children develop some level of unforgiveness and some anger issues within, and also the lack of self-esteem, like they feel that they're not worth it. And if, let's say, you know, sometimes marriages don't work, but do not involve the child. Explain to the child why it happens, and never ever fight when you know, you are in the presence of the child. And this also a wonderful picture that I wanted to share. Beware of your words. You know, beware of your words. Your words as a parent are very powerful. Your words have power. Use them wisely. So if we call our children like, you are naughty, don't do this, you are very naughty. You know, when you keep saying things like that, it goes into the subconscious mind, and the child thinks, yeah, I'm naughty. And then when they grow up, it's
they'll be naughtier.
They'll be naughtier. It's like, I don't care. You know, this is who I am. I'm not as worthy as all the other people. I am naughty. So they will say, okay, you know, they're not accountable to anything that you do.
So when you say negative words to the child, the child will just think, oh, my parents are affirming it.
Yes, exactly. And to a child, the world are their parents. You know, the world is their parents. They're brought up by their parents. They got nobody else to look up to. But parents are the key people who are with them, who shape them, and who actually develop their values. You know, so to kids, you know, that is the world to them. So if kids are abused, I wouldn't say just physically abused, but the worst is emotional abuse, or some parents using emotional blackmail. Oh, if you are my child, if you love me, you will do this. You know, and this is brought up until, you know, when the child is like adults, and sometimes this emotional blackmail is also still being used. And that is when the child that grows up to be an adult will also affect their relationships with other people. And imagine this child is going to grow up and they're going to be leaders of the world.
Exactly.
So if we bring them up wrongly with the values that we don't realize, then you can't blame them in the future and say, why are they like this? Why are kids like this?
Right. That line kind of takes me back to an ex-girlfriend. You love me, you'll do this. Boy, she must have had issues.
I'm still talking about the issue of divorce, because we can see that the divorce cases, the divorce rates are quite rampant, and it's increasing.
Yeah.
So how important is it for both parents to actually stay positive in front of the children, rather than say, yalah, mak kau, bapak kau, something like that, rather than, you just push the blame to the other parent because they're not together anymore. How will it affect the child psychologically?
Yes. Now, research has also shown that a child who has a non-forgiveness issue towards the father, there is an effect on their future careers and business. You will see some people when they grow up, they start businesses and then they fail, and then people cheat them, and it's just they cannot find the right job. Things are just not right in terms of their career, and research has shown that a lot of these people have links with non-forgiveness of the father, and if you have non-forgiveness of the mother, you will develop problems in your relationships in the future.
I see.
And this is quite rampant. And
regardless of your gender, right?
Right, regardless. And then you see some people, they're married, their husband loves them or their wife loves them, but it's not enough. They will go and find something else because there's something linked between them and the mother that's not resolved. Right? So these are really important, because if we see this if we really love our children, we want the best for them. Even if, let's say, your relationship doesn't work, God forbid, I'm pro marriage, no matter what, work on it.
That's right.
But if you really, really can't and you have to separate, do not ever badmouth your ex-husband or your ex-wife in front of your kid. Let the child spend as much time, unless of course the other spouse did something criminal to the child, then it's fine. But if not, if it's just a relationship issue, do not involve the child.
Murshidah, it's all good and fine if you have embodied the positive parent, you're taking your kid out on the right path, but there'll be a certain point in time where your kid meets other kids, and then you interact with other parents and different parenting styles. How do you ensure that your parenting styles survives the acid test of the kid going, hey, that guy's parents doing that, why can't I do it that way?
Yeah, I get that a lot. but my friend has this toy, why can't I have it? So I would have to sit with her and explain. My daughter is, she's 5, but she'll get upset when I tell her she's 5, she's 6, okay?
6, okay.
She wants to be 6.
Okay.
And I talk to her like an adult. Like I said, I wouldn't, learning what I know now, I wouldn't say, this is what I say, so it's it, that's it, I would explain to her why I do not want her to have that particular toy, or have that particular dress, or have this particular DVD that she really wants, and I'll explain it to her, and then I say, this is because I care about you, and this is something that I do not want you to play with, something like that, and I will have to explain it to her, right? And you know what, kids are smarter than you think. Even at 5 years old, they get it. They'll be like, oh, I see. So maybe when I grow up, I can have it. I say, when you grow up, you can have it in the future, but for now, this is not something I would want you to have at your particular age.
So I'm sure you say, when you're 7, right?
7, yes.
You can get it.
Yes, that's right.
We actually went out to the streets and find out, what people think about positive parenting, or the power of positive parenting. So let's take a look at what people have to say.
Children, you must teach them. You must, when they do something wrong, you must, tell them, explain to them why it is wrong, right? You should not beat them in the first place. You should tell them, explain to them what you did just now, no matter what. You must not do it again because this. You must explain, because you don't just beat up your children. Well, normally if my kid doing something bad, I try to talk to him in maybe in personal. Try to talk to him nicely. We don't shout because nowadays the kids are different. Like not like those days we are like our parents, you know. So we try to talk to him nicely in a nice way. That's how I communicate with my children, and very important is to communicate with them.
Kids is normal, always do bad thing, but we as an adult, we have to guide them. If we want to punish them, it can, but it's a minor punishment. But we have to explain why that why we have punished them and what are the reason.
Well, if
That's interesting.
yeah, if let's just say that you as parents are doing, you think you're doing really well in terms of giving positiveness to your child, but what happens when the grandparents are not helping?
Yeah, the grandparents' mothers.
Yes, smothers.
They are called smothers because they smother the kid.
And really spoils the grandchild, and no matter how negative or whatever the grandchild does, it's still good.
And they are your parents.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. This is not anything new, because a lot of grandparents sometimes, because they feel that they didn't spend enough time with their own children. When the grandparents come, when the grandchildren come, and they try to fill in those empty times when they did not get to smother their own children. So what happened is, for if you have parents who are like that, it will be good if you can sit down and actually talk to them. What I believe in also is, you cannot change other people, you can only change yourself. So how you see that situation, you see either you take it positively or negatively. When it comes to let's say your parents smothering your own children, when you tell them, okay, you're not supposed to be doing certain things, and then or you're not allowed to have this doll, and the grandparents go and get that doll or that toy, right? And then what you can actually do is again, this is another thing a lot of people do. They tell of their own parents in front of their kids. Why do you do this? I just told them, that you're not allowed to have this. So what you can do is, you can explain to your parents that there's a reason why you did not want them to get that toy, right? And then, well, it's how you deal with your child, whatever it is. You can explain to your child, I'm sorry, you're not going to have this until you do something. Like when my daughter, for example, my husband and I, we like to instill, a point system. Where, okay, if she does good things she collect a number of stars, she does good things for herself, like, clean up after herself and all that, then we'll get her something that she wants, right? So if not, then we tell her, no, you're going to have to pray for it, So, but most of the time, the power of prayers of children, it's amazing. They do always get what they want when they pray for it. But we don't just give it like that,
It's a good way to teach them to pray also, right?
Yes,
Exactly,
wonderful.
Well, that's fantastic. I think we can have a whole chapter on dealing with your parents.
To close up, in closing, in a normal circumstance where we have both parents are working, how do parents actually strike a balance in terms of spending quality time with their children only on weekends, and what can they do?
Well, instead of just going to a movie or watching television or going shopping, which a lot of people do, do something where you both can do together. For example, play games together, have a conversation together, and like Malaysians love to eat, right? So we all can go out and eat. But remember, all your handphones and all your gadgets, put it aside.
Right.
Talk. And I have seen a lot of families where, right from the grandchildren until the grandparents, all carrying iPads and the iPhones and all that.
Then
when
they
they sit down, they order, and then after that, they'll just play their own games at the dinner table, or at the restaurant. So do not do this. Keep your handphones or all your gadgets and all your toys. Just communicate with each other, because you know what? To children, this is really so important.
Yes.
And this will instill unconsciously instill values within them, and how they deal with people in the future, and how they bring up their kids in the future.
Thank you very much, Murshidah, for joining us on the program.
Thanks
it's been
for having
fantastic
me.
talking to you as
Yeah,
usual.
wonderful.
And I want to thank my parents. They were positive parents. My fondest
mine
memories
too.
were playing. We had Monopoly, we had badminton, we had football. All games, and I enjoyed playing. I don't think many parents do that these days, though.
Well, if you are satisfied, let's ask Jewel.